A woman named Lindsay Brunner was exploring Little Wild Horse Canyon near Green River with 2 of her friends. As they casually took photos between the narrow canyon walls, they suddenly heard something. Footsteps echoing through the passage. But when they looked around, no one was there. They tried to brush it off, blaming the acoustics of the canyon, but the uneasy feeling didn't go away. Moments later, they took another photo. It was a live photo, and when they played it back, they heard something else.
All the way out here. All the way out here.
A voice, clear enough to make out the words, "Come all the way out here." So who, or what, was calling out to them in that canyon? A man traveled to the Grand Canyon with friends, spending the day taking photos across different viewpoints. At one point, he stepped out onto a ledge alone to pose for a picture. Nothing seemed unusual at the time, but after the trip, when the photos were developed, something unexpected appeared. Partially hidden in the bushes, there was a man, staring directly at the camera. No one remembered seeing him. Some believe it could have been another visitor, someone simply unnoticed in the moment. But if that were the case, why didn't he say anything? Why just stand there, hidden, watching? Fortunately, nothing happened that day, but the photo left a lasting impression on them, because even now, they're left wondering who that figure was and what his intentions really were. YouTuber Smithereens drove out alone to the Vermilion Cliffs near the Navajo Nation, searching for rumored hidden caves tied to ancient Egyptian artifacts and hidden gold. Determined to uncover the truth, he ventured into this remote territory deep within the region. The land is not only steeped in history, but is also said to be guarded by something far more sinister. Navajo lore speaks of skinwalkers, shapeshifters said to protect their territory. As the sun began to set, the area grew quiet, almost too quiet. That's when he started calling out for skinwalkers, but nothing happened at first.
This is pretty scary, guys. It is completely quiet. There is not a single sound out here other than the wind. All right, let's do it. Skinwalker! 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 Navajo Nation.
Continuing his walk, he explored deeper into the canyon. Climbing higher into the cliffs at night, he began to notice strange things.
All right. I am on the edge of the cliff right now, Vermilion Cliffs. Skinwalker! 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 Nothing's gonna happen. Never had, never will. I've been scanning these hillsides, and I swear I saw something up there. I just saw something quick. It was like a shadow, just... I don't know if it was an animal or what that was. Hello? Something just whistled. Did you guys hear that? Hello? Something just whistled at me from over here. Hello? I swear something whistled, you guys. I swear. Unless the wind made a really, really strange windy noise, that was not normal.
Shadows moving across the rock, and a sudden whistle echoing from somewhere nearby. He stopped and listened. Nothing. Then silence again.
All right, guys, so I've been waiting here for about 15-20 minutes, and the noises I heard, I haven't heard them since. So I don't honestly know what that was. We're gonna go around the mountain and then come back down. You guys, this place is intense. The energy here, I understand what people mean when they say the energy. The energy here just feels really weird. I don't know if I'd say negative. Something about this place just feels a little bit strange.
Fortunately, he made it out of there safely. But what was out there in the cliffs that night? And was he really alone? A man wanted to record a clip of himself attempting a stunt near the edge of Sunset Point in Bryce Canyon, Utah, but that didn't go as expected.
Yes.
The man confidently jumps over the fence and lands dangerously close to the edge, barely escaping. Moments like this show how quickly things can go wrong when basic warnings are ignored, and this situation could have ended differently. The fence isn't there for just any reason. In the 1800s, a woman named Luana was left alone with her children in a remote canyon in Arizona. Her husband, a gold miner, had gone out in search of food, but he never returned. Days passed, then weeks. With no supplies and no help, the family began to starve. Her children cried out in hunger, but there was nothing left to give them. According to local legend, desperation drove Luana to the edge. She put on her wedding dress and, in a moment of complete breakdown, took the life of her children. Afterward, she carried their bodies to the river below. Realizing what she had done, she collapsed near the water, crying out in grief until she too died. Today, the place is known as Slaughterhouse Canyon, and many who visit at night claim they can still hear it. A woman's cries echoing through the canyon, calling out for her children. Some say it's just a story passed down over time, an urban legend shaped by the harsh history of the desert. Others believe something still lingers there. So, if you were standing in that canyon at night and heard someone crying in the distance, would you stay? In June 2011, YouTuber Retro Electroville visited a mine shaft in Delura, California canyon area. While exploring the site, the recording captured an open shaft that immediately drew attention due to the unusual sound coming from within.
The guy said it was an owl. What is that?
Really creepy sound coming out of there.
Do you hear that?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I don't...
Listen. That's not a bobcat hissing, is it? It's something over here. That's not a bobcat hissing, is it?
I just want to get out of here.
An eerie hissing noise can be heard echoing from deep inside the darkness of the shaft. Maybe it's a pile of snakes, maybe it's natural airflow, or maybe it's something else. Without visual confirmation, the origin remains unknown. A group of adventurers were inside a secluded cave. As they moved deeper inside, they noticed the cave was filled with thousands of spiders covering large areas.
We're out here, handsome dudes. You told them, dig it out.
The further they went, the more spiders appeared around them, with the entire cave slowly filling up as they proceeded. If these spiders are dangerous is unknown, but the sheer number of them makes the situation overwhelming and feels unsafe. How did this video make you feel? A 35-year-old man named Thomas Daniel Gibbs went missing after traveling alone to Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona. He was last heard from around midday on July 22, 2025, believed to be hiking in the Grand View Trail and Horseshoe Mesa area, one of the more remote and physically demanding sections of the park. Days later, when no one could reach him, he was officially reported missing. That same day, his vehicle was found parked at Grandview Point, but there was no sign of him. Search and rescue teams began combing the area, but in the early stages, no trace of him could be found. Officials noted that the terrain there is extremely rugged, with steep drops, unstable footing, and conditions that can change quickly. Search efforts continued as teams tried to reconstruct his possible route, hoping to find any clue of where he might have gone. But in a place as vast and unforgiving as the Grand Canyon, people can disappear in ways that are difficult to explain. If you were in the Grandview Trail area around July 22nd and saw anything unusual, authorities are asking you to come forward. Anyone with information is urged to contact the National Park Service tip line or submit tips online. YouTuber Exploring Gems went camping in Colorado on November 13th, 2025. She set up camp and cooked dinner. Later in the evening, a group of blacked out trucks and quad bikes passed through nearby roads, making a lot of noise, but without any direct interaction. Then, around midnight, this happened.
Someone just came knocking on my door.
When she checked the cameras on her phone, she realized they weren't even plugged in. Looking outside, there was nothing visible, just darkness. But then she noticed a fire.
During an active level 1 fire ban, mind you.
She realized she wasn't dealing with normal campers, so she waited. By morning, the area was empty again, and she left immediately, still shaken by the night. A group of hikers were exploring the Grand Canyon when conditions suddenly changed and heavy rain triggered a flash flood deep within the canyon. The video shows a massive surge of muddy water rushing through the narrow passage, filling the canyon with incredible force. Rescue teams were called in, and several hikers had to be airlifted out as the situation worsened. Locals say this isn't uncommon. In places like Havasupai, flash floods can form miles away and hit without warning, even when the sky above looks clear. The danger is real. Water levels can rise within minutes, turning a dry trail into a powerful, deadly current. Every year, multiple rescues happen in the Grand Canyon due to flash floods, and while rare, there have been fatalities. Because once the water rushes through those narrow canyon walls, there's often nowhere to escape. A flight was approaching Buckland, Alaska, when the pilot realized something was wrong with the steering. The plane began veering dangerously off course, moving toward an area where people were nearby on the ground. With no way to signal warning to those below, the pilot made an emergency decision mid-landing. He used a maneuver known as asymmetric reverse thrust to counter the movement and tried to correct the trajectory. The aircraft fought against the ground, losing control in the process and even damaging a wheel during the landing. Despite the chaos, the maneuver worked well enough to prevent a direct collision. Everyone on the ground managed to avoid impact, and the situation ended without mass casualties. During a hike through a canyon, this person suddenly spotted something unusual in the sky. An object floating silently above. Its shape looked almost like a giant fish, unnatural, out of place. Some believe it could be a visual illusion, a cloud formation, a shadow, or a distant object distorted by perspective. Others suggest it might be something man-made, like a blimp or an unusual aerial device. But none of the explanations fully match what's seen in the footage. A person driving on a road at night recorded this clip after seeing strange lights in the sky. It looked like a UFO passing directly above them. The movement and lighting looked convincing at first glance, and some people found it believable enough to question it. But on closer inspection, a watermark is visible in the bottom corner of the video, showing it was generated using AI tools. That detail confirmed the footage wasn't real. Did you think it was real at first sight? Two hikers were climbing in a canyon area when they noticed smoke rising from the side of the road. As they got closer, they saw multiple small fires spreading across parts of the canyon floor. One man nearby was allegedly trying to start and extinguish fires in different spots before authorities were called. They immediately contacted emergency services, and helicopters were sent to locate the individual in the rugged terrain. Officials later said several of the fires were small and smoldering, but the situation was still taken seriously due to the risk in a dry canyon environment. The man was eventually located and taken into custody for questioning. What could be the motive behind that behavior? While hiking in a remote area, someone spotted this strange rock formation. The photo shows what looks like a hand shape formed in the stone, with fingers clearly visible, as if something is reaching out from inside the rock itself. It could just be a natural formation, but the more you look at it, the more defined and unusual it appears. Do you think the formation is too detailed to be random? A person allegedly recorded these clips while hiking, claiming they showed hell on earth. They described it as an eternal torment scenario, with constant screaming and figures appearing trapped in an endless cycle of pain. But when the footage is examined more closely, the setting looks more like an industrial or an abandoned facility rather than anything supernatural. The audio also seems inconsistent, with many pointing out that the screams may have been added separately. So the clips are likely staged or edited to provoke shock and spread misinformation, rather than showing anything real. Someone using Google Earth zoomed into a mountainous area in Taiwan and switched to Street View, where they noticed something unusual in the landscape. At first, it looks like a normal mountain with trees and uneven rock surfaces. But as the view shifts, the shape starts to look more structured, almost defined. The ridge of the mountain appears to form a spine-like structure, with rocks lined up along the top. Parts of the formation resemble a head shape, with features some say look like nostrils and a mouth, along with ridges similar to spikes running down the back. Some believe it's just natural erosion creating patterns the human brain tries to recognize. Others think it resembles the dragon imagery often found in Asian mythology. So was it just a coincidence, or not? Two seniors were driving through a remote stretch of the desert near Highway 78 in Imperial County, California, when their vehicle got stuck in deep sand. With no way to free the car and no immediate help nearby, they decided to leave the vehicle and continue on foot in search of assistance. The area was extremely isolated, with long empty stretches and harsh conditions. After they were reported missing, rescue teams were sent out. One of them was found first and treated for exposure to the extreme heat. The second person was still unaccounted for at that point, with search teams continuing to sweep the area. Eventually, both individuals were located and brought out safely for medical care. Officials later noted that staying with the vehicle is usually the safer option in situations like this because of shelter and visibility. What would you have done in that situation? Redditor OKAlternative5517 was visiting Fern Canyon in the California Redwoods with her boyfriend when they took several photos while exploring the area. Later, while reviewing the photos, they noticed something strange in only one of the images. A bright, human-like figure appears between the dense trees and wet canyon walls. What makes it more unsettling is that no similar figure appears in any of the other photos taken in the same spot, moments before and after, and they were sure no one else was there with them at the time. So, did they really capture something unexplainable? A man was driving back from Yuma, Arizona on a sunny day when something unusual caught his attention. The road was quiet and mostly empty. During the drive, he glanced up at the sky and noticed an object floating above him. He quickly pulled over and recorded this video. It didn't look like a plane, it didn't move like a drone, it just hovered there, suspended in place. Some believe it could be a distant aircraft or even a balloon caught in the light, but not everyone is convinced. So what do you think it was? Matrice Richardson, a 24-year-old woman, was arrested in Malibu, California, after staff at a restaurant reported unusual behavior and said she was unable to pay her bill. She was taken into custody and brought to the Malibu Lost Hills Sheriff's Station. Despite her mother expressing concern about her mental state, Matrice was released shortly after midnight, alone, without her phone, wallet, or car. Hours later, she was seen in a nearby residential area, appearing confused, telling a homeowner she was just resting. That was the last confirmed sighting of her. A large-scale search followed, including hundreds of volunteers combing the rugged Malibu Canyon terrain. But for months, there was no sign of her. Then, nearly 11 months later, her remains were discovered in a remote canyon area. Authorities ultimately stated there was no evidence of homicide, and the exact cause of death was never clearly determined. Her family, however, has long argued that she should never have been released alone in that condition. The case later led to legal action and a settlement with the county, but many questions still remain. On April 13, 2026, a 5.7 magnitude earthquake hit Fallon, Nevada. This video was recorded by a hiker. A mile-long crack can be seen along the fault line, with dust or smoke-like material rising from sections of the terrain.
I know everybody in Fallon just felt that earthquake, but look at the fault line.
Some people pointed out that it could be the dust kicked up by a vehicle driving through the area, rather than the ground splitting or actual smoke. Others say it's part of normal seismic activity, where loose soil and debris shift after an earthquake. A person went to explore a canyon waterfall. As he arrived, he noticed something unusual. The rocks surrounding the area had long curved shapes, resembling the bodies of giant snakes. Some even had defined heads, almost as if they were frozen in place. Fascinated by what he was seeing, he began recording the scene. The formations looked incredibly detailed, a true masterpiece. Researchers have been comparing ancient carvings found across different parts of the world. Similar petroglyphs have been discovered in places as far apart as Japan, Utah, and Azerbaijan. In locations like Fugope Cave in Japan, 9 Mile Canyon, and Gubostan, the carvings appear to show human-like figures with wings. Despite the vast distances between these sites, the similarities are hard to ignore. Some believe it can point to shared symbolism across ancient cultures. The carvings themselves date back thousands of years. Around 7,000 years old in Japan, between 1,000 and 2,000 years old in Utah, and up to 10,000 years old in Azerbaijan. So how did such similar images appear in places so far apart? Now, let's continue with some scary desert encounters next.